Hi, guys. It's Sven from Badass Counseling. So we created the Badass Counseling group on Facebook, and it grew to well over 45,000 members. And we kept getting asked by folks for a support group, a growth group that's more intimate, gives more access to me, Sven, if possible. So the Badass Counseling team got together, and they created Community Plus. For a monthly fee that isn't cheap, you get direct access to me 2 times a month where you can submit your questions directly. Monthly drawings for a small group counseling session with me. Monthly drawings for one-on-one counseling sessions with me. Priority Pass access to go to the front of the waiting list for ongoing counseling with me. Priority Pass access to be considered to be counseled by me on the Badass Counseling Show podcast. Direct access to my top 2 selling video courses, Healing the Soul and Unleashing Your Greatness. Interviews with people who've had success in their soul journey, some well-known and some everyday folks like you and me. And a fantastic opportunity to meet and get to know other men and women who take their healing and growth seriously and who do the work. And a social community feed where folks share their challenges, their struggles, and their triumph. And so much more. So go now to badasscounseling.com. Click on the Community Plus sign-up page for premium content and direct access to me and to like-minded people who are committed to healing, growth, and creating a community of support and happiness.
From the New York City area, welcome to the Badass Counseling Show, where the master badass himself, Sven Erlandson, takes you deep and gives balm for the soul, baby.
All right. Hello. You have reached the Badass Counseling Show podcast. Welcome. It is great to have you here. We are doing a taping of the Badass Counseling Show podcast. My name is Sven Erlandson. I am the host of this terrific show, and we're so glad that you made it. Whether you are joining us from Perth, Australia, or from Kentucky, California, Texas, Saskatchewan, or Michigan, it's great to have you here. I'm joined in studio by the boss, KC, over in the booth, and Rob the Rocket next to me. Rob, what say ye?
Ground control to Major Sven.
Yes?
Take off, eh?
Here we go. All right. I am taking your questions live right now. All right. Melissa on TikTok starting us off today saying, being the family secret that she is, will my siblings ever fully acknowledge me? Answer, Melissa, the mere fact that you're listening to this podcast likely we're taping on a Saturday morning, early in the morning, says that you're probably older. I'm betting at least in probably 30s or so, let's say 20s, 30s, maybe 40s. And the fact that they haven't already says that they likely have no interest in doing so. But let me tell you something, Melissa. And so the odds of them acknowledging you, which means they know you exist. You're not wanting them to know you exist. You're wanting them to acknowledge you. You're wanting something from them. You're wanting their attention. Ultimately, what you're wanting is their love. You're wanting a relationship with them. And you're wondering if they ever will. And the fact that they haven't already is an indicator that they likely won't. And so then you are grieving. And at some point, you have to come to terms with the fact that you have a pattern of behavior from them that exists already, and it's likely to continue. And that is that they are not going to acknowledge you. But and that's something you have to grieve. It's the death of a relationship that you never have, and in all likelihood are never going to get. However, that's not the real problem. The real problem is this. The real problem is that you want them to acknowledge you. And you have to remember, above all else, Melissa, anytime anyone has something that you want, and this isn't just in a case where you're the family secret and you're wanting your siblings to acknowledge you. This is anything where you have a lover who isn't giving you the attention you want. You have a coworker who is somewhat cold to you and you want them to be nice to you. Anytime anyone in life has something that you want, they have power over you. Remember that, people. If someone has something you want, they have power over you. Therefore, here's the punchline. They have the power to make you miserable. Thus, they fucking own you. They own you. Why? Because they have the power to make you miserable without even fucking trying. And so then you become like this boyfriend like a guy who the girl is nice to him and everything, but she doesn't really want him. And so he's like a whipped puppy just following her around. It's like, oh God, he's nice. I don't want to break his heart or whatever. But it's just like, I'm not interested. And he's clingy. It's like, fuck, just go away. That's what it is. And I'm not trying to be a douche here, Melissa, but the truth is they're acting like they don't want you. And by you continuing to want them, you're giving them the power. And the mere fact that you continue to want them gives them even more power. And until you can let go of that, and you let go of that, not by forcing yourself to let go, but by doing the journaling and writing them letters you don't send, so you can flush out all of that longing and the grief over never getting that relationship that you wanted. And the more you flush that out and flush that out, the pain, the grief, because you're grieving the death of a relationship that you never got but always wanted. And the more you do that, the less you'll want it. Then you actually have somewhat of a chance of one of them coming to you. But right now, they don't have to come to you. They can take you for granted. Why? Because you keep coming to them. They don't have to work at it. You're doing all the work. So you maybe have a glimmer in the future, but only if you walk away from a relationship. But you need to assume you're never going to have that relationship, and you need to walk away because... And I'm not trying to be a dick here, Melissa, but fundamentally you're embarrassing yourself. And I'm not trying to be rude. And I hope, and I know that may sting, but you are. It's like the guy following around a girl who really is kind of doing the slow walk out of the relationship because she doesn't have the balls to just look him in the face and say, hey, I got to end it. I'm not feeling it. But she doesn't have the balls to do that. So she's making him look bad, and he's making himself look bad. And in this case, you're hurting yourself. And it's time to do the work of flushing that out so that you can move on with your life. And then maybe they'll come around, but you need to assume they won't. And that's a death. And I'm sorry you're having to grieve that death. Next question. All right. Nana57 on TikTok says, husband feels the need to call names to kids even since they became adults. How should I react? And I'm going to interpret this, Nana57, as you say, husband feels the need to call names to kids. I'm going to assume that you mean husband feels the need, husband chooses to call the kids names, all right? He's calling his kids names even since they became adults. Them becoming an adult actually isn't nearly as bad as him doing it when they were kids. It's worse. When a child is young, we think it's so fucking cute to call them names. Right? We think it's cute, but those messages, a child's sort of subconscious, their soul doesn't have a filter. So they may laugh along with you, but it hurts. If you call a child, for instance, let's just say my oldest nephew, I'm just going to call him Larry. It's not his name. That would be a little out of generation, anachronism, but let's call him Larry. And so let's say little Larry came in from the outdoor, his little kiddie pool once, and he came in and got on the hardwood floors and he slipped once. And let's say us uncles, we all laughed and we said, oh, you're a klutz. And he laughed along, even though he sort of bonked his elbow and hurt his elbow, but he laughed along because he didn't want to look weak to his uncles, let's just say. And then let's say he starts, he's 6 years old, and then he's at his first week of fucking school. And let's say one of the bigger boys trips him a bit, and all the girls around and the bully laugh at him a little bit, and they say, oh, you're such a klutz. Okay, now he's got 2 dings in the course of, let's say, 3 months. And then let's say one more incident happens where he's helping his mother carry groceries, and he happens to trip, over sort of a curb, which we've all done. Come on, you're carrying something and you miss a curb, and he stumbles a bit, and maybe somebody snickers. Guess what echoes in his head? Oh, I'm a klutz. Now we've got the imprinting of a message being pressed into the wet cement of his soul. What's the point? Teasings stick. And so if he gets teased again by the uncles or whatever, those messages begin to imprint. Or I had a friend who was saying to her child, this was many years back, would always say to her 4 or 5 year old child, oh, she's so careful. She's so careful. She's always so careful. She's always so careful. You're imprinting a message. What if that child isn't so careful? Has it occurred to you that you are actually giving the child an identity when that actually may not be their identity? You are imprinting something. So something like calling names gives the child an identity. And if it's a name, if it's a pejorative, if it's a put down, as the case with your husband, that child begins to hate on themselves. And the husband thinks it's a real cute fucking joke. But it's not. To the child, it hurts and it becomes their fucking identity. So you ask the question, my husband feels the need. It's not a need. It's just him being a dick. And he keeps doing it. Why do bullies bully? Because they can. So you say, husband feels the need to call names to kids, even to your kids, since they became adults. How should I react? You should stand up to your husband and stop it every single time. Because if you don't, your children have every right, your adult children have every right to be just as angry, if not more angry at you than they are at him. You want to know why? Because you are failing at job number one as a parent. What is job number one as a parent? What is written still on the side of a lot of police cars, at least in the US, and I think in Canada too, but on a lot of police cars still, or at least it used to be, to protect and to serve. What is job number one of a parent? Protect. And so you've got to ask yourself, now, when all this is still going on, why am I not protecting my child from something I know is wrong? Well, I don't want to do it because then I got to deal with my husband's wrath. So fundamentally, I am protecting myself at the expense of my child. Are you okay with that? You are fundamentally saying that my safety, my security is more important than my child's safety and security. Are you okay with that? Because your children will have every right to be angry with you. And the worst part is if they aren't angry with you, because that means they are swallowing their own anger to protect you. So fundamentally, your children feel the need to protect their mother rather than vice versa. You guys seeing a problem here? All right, next question. And I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm not trying to be a dick, Nana. I swear to God, I'm not trying to be a dick. But that's what's happening here. Rob, go ahead.
My personal example is a little indirect, in which when I was growing up, if my mother would clumsily drop something, she would say, I've got the dropsies. And now, when I drop something clumsily, I think to myself, I've got the dropsies. And it is unfucking pleasant. Thank you.
You know what? And that's so interesting, you guys. Crosstalk and self-talk. This brings up a separate issue. Crosstalk between adults within earshot of a child impacts children. They fucking hear it. You think they're not hearing it? They hear it and they see it. So when parents are calling each other's names or when they are bickering, the children pick up those messages. Or also self-talk. I had a guy, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, and he said that his father was always beating up on himself over his weight. Father was beating up on himself over his weight as my client, now an adult, was growing up. And so my client, when he was growing up, even though that no one ever said anything to the son about the son's weight, the son always felt like he was overweight. He was always terribly self-conscious of his own weight. And he said, Sven, when I was in high school, I thought I was a fatty. I was so self-conscious. I didn't ask out any of the girls, et cetera, et cetera. He said, Sven, I'm in my late 30s now. I look back on my pictures in high school. I was a cute kid. Maybe I was a couple of pounds overweight, but it was nothing. But I was so self-conscious because all I ever heard my father doing was beating up on himself over his weight. Crosstalk and self-talk, folks. It's a big deal when it comes to raising children. All right, next question. All right. Amanda Cervini over on Facebook asks, why can't I let go of the anger I'm experiencing? It's ruining my life. Why can't you let it go? Because it's in here and it's not out of there. Until it's out of you, it's in you. That's anger, that's hatred, that's sadness, that's love, that's lust, that's longing. All of these things are called feelings, people. Feelings are trains. Listen, feelings are trains. Do you know why they make trains? They don't make trains to sit in train stations. They make trains to go choo, 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 and go down the track and pick up people and pick up coal and lumber and whatever and pull into train stations and unload the people and get new people on and go choo, 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 and go out of the train station till poof, they're gone. Feelings are trains. Feelings aren't permanent, people. Feelings are not permanent unless you do not give them a point of egress, a point of exit. If you teach your children or exercise yourself as an adult, stuffing feelings down, bottle it up, fuck feelings don't matter, and you just stuff that shit down. Or if you teach your children your feelings don't matter, if you do that, guess what? You're not letting the trains into the train station. Guess what happens to trains when they're not allowed into this train station? They stack up outside the village. Now you're leaking diesel. Now you've got trains and all sorts of stuff inside them, and the toilets aren't getting cleaned out, and all of a sudden stacking up and bad stuff happening. We got to get those trains moving. So when you say, Amanda, on Facebook, why can't I let go of anger I'm experiencing? It's ruining my life. Because the trains aren't moving. It's like when your bowels aren't moving and you're constipated and sepsis starts setting in, right? I know nothing about medicine, but I think I know a little bit. It starts to poison the body. Anger is the same way. Sadness the same way. Love that you don't get out of you poisons the body. Do you guys know, I have 2 kids. They're in their 30s, right? And my 2 grandkids were just born. Beautiful, beautiful, bouncing baby boys. Bouncy, 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 right? Okay. And do you know what happens when a mother is breastfeeding the children and the child misses a feeding, let's say in the middle of the night, or misses 2 feedings? What happens to the mother's breasts? They become, I believe the medical term is called engorged, right? Engorged with what? With the very milk that is the creative life force for that child. The very life force. That child cannot exist without that which is inside of the mother. Without that life force, that source of love, that source of life, that child dies. And yet what's fascinating is as those breasts become engorged, they become extraordinarily sensitive to touch. Extraordinary, painful for her and painful if they are touched as well. Now listen to this. Do you know what the medical term is for what a mother should do when her breasts become engorged? Do you know what the medical term is? Express. It is literally, she's supposed to express. Hand push out. The Latin ex, out, press, push. Push out the milk to relieve her own pain from this life-giving creative force. What is the word? What is the word that artists use when they have ideas in them that they're not getting out of them? What's the word? I need to express myself. It's the same thing. There's this creative life force. So, Amanda, when you ask the question, why can't I let go of the anger I am experiencing? It's ruining my life. You are not expressing, getting out. You are not getting the trains moving out of the station. I've now thoroughly mixed 2 metaphors, but I think you're getting the fucking point here, people. Right? So, Amanda, you got to be saying right now, okay, so how do I do that, Sven? What very often happens is we tell people, you got to feel the feelings, man. You got to feel your feelings. That's not enough. That's phase 1. And there are 2 phases here, people. 2 phases. You got to allow those feelings up. You got to allow what you are naturally feeling. All right. Feelings are a natural response, an involuntary body, soul response to a stimulus. Right? If someone you love very much dies, you are going to have the involuntary soul response of sadness, of grief, of sorrow. That is a natural response to death. Your hunting dog of 13 years dies. I am sorry. The horse you have had for 15 years dies. You are going to feel pain down deep in the depths of your very being. You just are. That's phase 1, allowing those feelings. Now, some people say, no, fuck that. No, fuck feelings. And they become so uptight. And then they vomit or spit that fucking anger out in every direction on the people they claim to love, right? We've all been around those uptight motherfuckers who choose not to get their anger out in some fucking healthy direction. So it just vomits out on everyone around them. Okay. So allowing those feelings up is the first part. The second part is getting it out. How do you do that? Well, some people choose therapy. I'm all for that. Some people go talk to their pastor or their priest and use that as counseling. Okay. There's an even simpler way, folks. It's called God made pens, God made paper. If there's a God, God made pens and paper in the God factory. All the little God elves made pens and paper. Get a fucking pen and a fucking pad of paper and start writing. Amanda, you got anger, start journaling. I'm so fucking angry about blah, 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 blah. Start writing letters that you don't send to all the people that you're angry at. All of it. Flush and flush and flush and flush. And guess what happens? You start feeling lighter. Why? Because the trains are coming into the station, letting people out. letting people on, leaving the station. Get those trains fucking moving. Next question. All
Man,
right.
you're on fire today.
Woo, baby. Come on now.
Let me ask you, if you could be expressive, how would that change your approach here? Anyway, you've answered V Glass's question on YouTube, and she writes, hashtag, until it's out of you, it's in you. That's a good one.
That's it.
And I got one from Mandy here, which I think you'll like.
What's the question from Mandy on YouTube? Lay it on me, Moo Cow.
How would you suggest helping a partner overcome multiple big T traumas who's struggling with hoarding and cleaning issues and avoidant freeze responses from their own emotions?
The hoarding, the freeze, all of those are the responses. The responses aren't the problem. Okay? The responses are their own problem, but the ultimate problem, of course, is the traumas. You're talking about your partner has these fucking big T traumas, big traumas with a capital T. And as a result is doing all this other shit. And you're wondering, how do you help your fucking partner when they've got all this fucking trauma and now it's impacting your relationship and impacting, your partner's hoarding and what were the other things, Rob?
Cleaning
and so forth. Right. Cleaning is a common one. Why? People don't want to fucking sit still. I'm going to stay fucking busy. This dovetails into overparenting, right? I got to stay busy. Oh, this kid has ballet practice, and then I got to drive over to soccer practice, and then I got to make this meal, but then I have to run to the grocery store because we're all out of tomatoes. And then my other child has a gluten allergy, so I have to pick up gluten-free pasta because we're having pasta tonight. And I got to stay busy. I got to stay busy because the minute I sit fucking still, all that trauma, all those memories that have emotional charges attached to them. All those trains come flooding into the fucking station. So, overparenting, overexercising, overworking, staying busy, cleaning, all of those, just like the bottle, the booze, the pills, the fucking cheating, gambling, all of those things are an attempt to keep ahead of that tidal wave of all of your memories and their emotional charges, because the second you stop, they all wash over you. You're running. So your partner's running. You want to know how you help your partner? You have straight talks with them. But also you have to talk about them. You have to be honest about how their actions, ultimately, you can't get someone to heal themselves. If they don't want it, they don't want it. And if they're running that hard, in all likelihood, they really don't want it. All you can do is tell them the truth lovingly, yet boldly and firmly, and not back down from how their actions are impacting. Their feelings are welcome. Their actions are not welcome, specifically in how they're treating you and impacting your life. And you have to stand up and not back down, because the more you back down, the more you are allowing that behavior, which sucks for you. So you have to stand up, not back down. Recommend couples counseling for the two of you, but you need to be flushing out all your pain, all your rage about this. All right? But you need to stand up, not back down, because there needs to be a price for their actions, and their actions come with the price of your unhappiness, but them getting pushback from you. Otherwise, they'll just keep doing it. Bullies bully because they can. And if there's no pushback from you, they're going to just keep fucking doing it. All right? And you're like, well, Sven, that's just a massive amount of energy and it's just a pain in the ass. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. You want to keep eating shit, or you want to stand up for yourself? And you're going to have to stand up for yourself at every turn so that they know there's a price. And either they're going to get sick of it or you're going to get sick of it. And you may find, and this is the ugly part, you may find at some point that you have to walk away. Why? Because you're sick of laying out all this energy and they're not fucking changing. Right. And that's you coming face to face with the fact that this person wants to hang on to their trauma more than they want to change to have a great relationship with you. And that's the ugly part. And this is a point, folks. Oftentimes we want to choose the easy path, the easier path, rather than the hard path of our truth and what's going to bring us the greatest happiness. All right, next question. All right. But before we get to that, much more to come right after this short break.
My wife pushed me to watch this guy's TikTok videos, so I finally caved in, and holy crap, blew me away. I started watching more, and every time he opens his mouth, I get blown away in a whole new way. So I finally bought his book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup. To say I got an ass kicking is an understatement. Much needed. It was like having my own personal tough therapist who just gets it. So go do yourself a favor. Get There's a Hole in My Love Cup. It's powerful stuff.
This show provides soul counseling intended to entertain and inform, and is not medical advice. to the badass.
All right, we are back with the Badass Counseling Show, a live taping of the Lightning Round Badass Counseling Show. Here we go, folks. I got 3 questions in a row on Facebook. Kim Gibson, down in Perth, Australia, I believe, right, Kim? Asked the question, at what point do you know you're healed from your past abusive behavior? Presumably, you're the one doing the abusing. At what point do you know you're healed from past... No, I'm going to assume you are the one being healed or being abused. When do you know that you're healed from past abusive behavior? I would ask you simply this question, Kim. Does it still hurt when you think about it? Does it still make you angry when you think about it? Does it still make you sad? If so, you've got some more healing to do, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. What you're fundamentally trying to do, and are you still triggered around certain things, whether it's around certain people that remind you of the person that abused you? And if so, there's nothing wrong with that. To be abused, I was abused in 2 significant relationships early in life, physically and verbally abused. Yes, even at 6'4", 250, 260 pounds, believe it or not. Okay, so what's the point? What we're fundamentally trying to do is what trauma is. It's memories that have emotional charges attached to them. And so what you're trying to do is you're trying to decharge all of those memories so that now they're just memories. This morning, I went to the gym and I did a quick back and buys workout. All right. There's no emotional charge attached to it. It was just a quick workout. It's a memory with no emotional charge. All right, there you go. That's what we're looking for. But now I have a memory of being at the gym not too long ago, and the gym owner came over and chewed me out a bit because I was stacking too much extra weight onto the stack. And I'm like, fuck you. All right. So I still have a little bit of an emotional charge attached to that memory. Well, I need to flush that out. A little bit of anger and a little bit of hurt. It's like, really, I'm not hurting your stack. They build the tensile strength of these fucking coils to be able to handle at least triple the weight of this stack. Lighten up, princess. All right. So I got to flush out that anger. That's the difference between a memory and a memory with an emotional charge. So the way you know you're healed or not from an emotional or an abusive situation is, are there any memories with an emotional charge attached to them? Well, how the fuck do I know that, Sven? Go back and list every single memory you have of the abuse in any relationships you had that were abusive. List every single memory that you have. Just bullet points. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, that time that we were on the vacation, and we went, to the beach. That other time that we were at the supermarket, blah, blah, blah. And then write out the event itself. And then write out any feelings that you still have attached to it and keep writing out what the feelings. What did it feel like? What hurt? What scared me? What was I angry about? And you journal it all out. Bullet point, every single memory, every single emotional charge. Even just bullet pointing those memories, if it conjures up any sort of feeling, boom, that's how you know you're not fully healed yet. And you just keep digging and digging until you just have this sense of lightness. It's like there's nothing left there. You'll know. And how will you know? Because you'll have this lightness. It'll be like, it's done. I just know, okay? But you're on the right path. Keep up the great work, Kim. All right, next question. All right, I had 3 in a row, and then the Facebook scroller jumped on me here, as it is prone to do. Has that proclivity. All right, next question. Here we go. Where is it? Betty Green over on TikTok says, how do I cut ties with a mom who didn't protect me as a child? She let men babysit me, and I was molested every time. Betty Green, you're asking, how do you cut ties with a mom who didn't protect you? The mere fact that you're asking the question, how do I cut ties? Do you want to know what that tells me, Betty? It tells me that you simultaneously want to cut ties, but don't want to cut ties. And you're like, how do you get that, Sven? Well, because cutting ties with the person, you just cut the ties. You cut all contact with the person, to which you respond, but I can't, right? I mean, why is it hard? Because there's some sort of price that you don't want to pay. Maybe it's the price of your family being upset. Maybe you feel morally obligated because mom's old and I feel the need to take care of her, or maybe dad will be upset, or what is it? But when you say, how do I cut ties with the mom who didn't protect me as a child? She let men babysit me and I was molested every time. How do you cut ties? Well, you can begin, but I'll just give you a straight answer. Begin by answering her phone calls less. Or begin by answering not quite as quickly. Don't respond to her texts quite as quickly. Begin by pulling away a bit more. Don't go to family holidays. Begin by not being at her beck and call. But the real place where you need to begin, Betty, is you need to be journaling on what the fuck is keeping me tied to mom, because something is keeping you tied to mom by the mere fact that you need to ask, how do I do it? Which implies there's something still keeping you attached to mom. So in your journaling, you need to ask you, what is it that's still keeping you attached to mom? Is it guilt over doing it? I'm betting there's some guilt there. Or is it fear over doing it because you fear what somebody's going to think? What is the one sentence, Betty, that you most fear someone, and it could be anyone, someone thinking or saying about you if you cut ties with your mother? Now, you being molested because your mother didn't protect you, I don't think there's a single person that's going to disagree. You are 1,000% justified in walking away from your mom. And anybody knowing that fact who questions you can go fuck themselves. Fuck them. All right? You are under no obligation to have a relationship with someone who didn't protect you, someone who allowed you to be molested. All right? You're under no obligation. All right. So the fact that you haven't cut off the relationship already says there's something that's keeping you from it. You've got to name that. Is it guilt? Is it fear? What's that one sentence you most fear someone thinking or saying to you? And then what's the sentence? Is it you're a bad daughter? I'm betting it's somewhere around there. And then who is the one person most likely to say that about you or to you? Is it your mom? Is it your dad? Is it a sibling? Who is it? And don't say it's yourself, because it's never your own voice that's most critical of you. You didn't come out of the womb saying, hey, I suck. No. Somebody's fucking voice. Somebody still has fucking power over you. Because or you either fear someone's wrath, fear what someone thinks of you, or you are still wanting something from mom, or both. You are likely still wanting her acknowledgement of the pain she caused you and wanting her apology, and potentially you are wanting her acceptance. You are wanting the love from her that she never gave you. So how do you begin the process of letting go? By going inside of you and beginning to name the feelings that you're really feeling in this whole process, but also naming what is it you're really wanting from your mother, because I'm betting there's still something there. And what is it you most fear happening if you do cut off your mother? Next question. Sally G asked the question on TikTok, what is a definition of a true narcissist? Well, first of all, I'm not a psychologist, psychiatrist, anything having to do with the psychiatric psychology field. I make that very clear on my website, on my podcasts, everywhere. All right. So if you are asking for a psychological definition, I'm not going to touch it. All right. However, that being said, I was a student of the classics, and we know where the term narcissist comes from. It comes from the story of Narcissus and Echo, right? Which goes back to the writings of the poet Ovid. And he was actually writing that poetry about human nature, right? And this obsession with self and at the expense of other things. And it's a much larger story. And so you're asking, what is the true definition of narcissist? I'm not going to answer that. What I do in my work is I substitute, rather than narcissist, I call them what? People, if you followed me, you know that I exchange the term extreme taker. Roughly speaking, extreme taker. Someone who fundamentally grew up not getting their love cup filled. And as a result, what? They have to hoard love. They hold on to love because there is always a shortage. Because the people who were supposed to be in the business of pouring love into their love cup did not pour love into their fucking love cup. And so they were taught at a very young age, quite unintentionally perhaps, that they had to steal love. And that may have actually been modeled by the parents, that maybe the child was expected to pour love into the parents' love cup. That it's all about the parents. Do what the parents say. Take care of mommy's feelings. Make dad proud. Whatever it was all about the parents. So now that child learned, I have to steal love. I have to steal attention. I have to hoard it for myself and not give it away to anybody else. Because whether it's giving it to my wife or husband or giving it to my little snot-nosed kids, any love that I give away is a loss for me. It means I have less. So if I'm going to be giving away, motherfucker, it's going to be transactional. I better be getting something back from Junior. If my little peckerhead kid is going to get any love from me, he better fucking produce. Make me proud, boy. Or you're going to do what I say. Or it's all about my fucking ego. Or woman, if I'm going to give you love, what's in it for me? I'll give you a little bit, but you better give me a lot. And that's one of the downsides of extreme takers. What do? Extreme takers tend to find extreme givers. And guess how extreme givers were raised? They were raised with, guess what? Love's a shortage. They were taught that the way to get love is to give lots and lots and lots. Now, either they were taught that because it was modeled, they had parents who just gave love all the time, who didn't teach them you have every right and you need to expect love in return. So either it was modeled as a good way, or these children just didn't get love from the parents for the exact same reason the extreme taker didn't get love. But rather than trying to hoard love, they thought, well, I'll just do more. I'll become practically perfect in every way, just like Mary motherfucking Poppins, right? And so they became perfect. They gave, hoping to get just a little bit in return. Now, in my book, my best-selling book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup, I talk about relationship camels. A camel can go a long distance on a little bit of water or oil or fat in their hump, whatever the fuck it is. A long distance on a little bit. That's what a relationship camel is. Someone who can go a long distance on a little bit of love. I'll do everything for you. Oh, you want me to change a channel? I'll get up and change the channel to the TV. I'll make you a pot roast. I'll fucking wipe your ass. Just give me a little bit of love. Okay? That's an extreme giver. So extreme givers tend to find extreme takers. Match made in hell, right? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And it all finds the same origin, that these two kiddos, when they were little, they had parents who were all about taking their love. And so one responded by what? Stealing love wherever they could get it. It was a child just trying to survive. Now they took that into adulthood. Now it's not just a child anymore. Now they're acting like a child who's trying to steal love, except they're stealing it from their spouses, their friends, their fucking kids. And then the other one is constantly giving love. And that looks a little more social acceptable, but it's just as toxic to everyone around them. It's even toxic to their own children because they're doing generational curse. They're teaching their own children, this is the way to fucking live. Just give. All right. So my definition of extreme taker is someone who didn't get the love growing up. And definition of extreme giver, same goddamn thing. All right. Here we go. Italian Mama asked the question, why do my kids defend my ex-husband who was the one who verbally/emotionally abused them as kids? Okay, Italian Mama, that's a great question. I am that parent who was in your shoes, right? And whoever controls the narrative controls the kids to a large degree. And you shouldn't be controlling kids. But it sounds like your ex-husband is controlling the narrative. When I was coming out of my first marriage, I had a therapist who told us both the last thing your children want or need is to hear you disparaging, besmirching your ex. Don't do it. It's hard on the kids to hear any negative about the other parent. So I didn't at all, zero. And then, but I know what was happening on the other side is poison was being poured into my children's ears. I know that definitively. And into their ears, into her family, into my family even. So the whole narrative around my kids was she's the hero and victim of every story, and I'm the villain of every story. Now, where I made a mistake, and I was in my 20s at the time, where I made a mistake was I thought not disparaging her also meant not standing up for myself. That was my mistake. That's your mistake, Italian Mama. All right? You have every right. In fact, not only a right, your children, if you are in a divorce situation where there are children involved, your children need you to stand up for your side of the story. They need to know that both parents not only love them, but if you are good, but you are being disparaged by the other person, they are being taught that you are bad, your children need to know that you are good, because if they do not hear that from you and or others, they will believe you are bad. Why? And so your kids are defending their ex, who was the one who verbally, emotionally abused them. They are defending him in part because he is driving the narrative. Now, here's the downside. Here's the other side of it. One, if they know that they were abused, you don't say how old your kids are. Okay, this is a little more complex. See, what I just cited was a somewhat different situation, but he abused them. Now, you're not necessarily saying that he's calling you bad, but he is clearly defending himself. You have to understand this other thing. No matter how bad a child is abused, a child still longs for love from a parent, and it is still my parent. I have counseled people. I am about to do a show where I am counseling someone on the show. And we have had people on the show who I am counseling who literally say, let's say, my father sexually abused my stepsisters, but didn't abuse me. And I was close to my father, and I was the golden child. Do you think that child's going to have mixed feelings? This child grew up being very close to their father, but also knew that their father was an ogre, was a bastard to this child's siblings. Do you think that child is going to have mixed feelings, strong mixed feelings? Well, it's the same in this case. Italian mama says, why do my kids defend my ex-husband who was the one who verbally, emotionally abused them as kids? Yeah, and they have strong mixed feelings because they still love him, even as they have probably hatred and anger buried down deep. And they are still wanting his love. They are still wanting his affirmation. And no doubt he's potentially set it up where if they don't give him love and defend him, maybe he'll hurt them again or put them down, or won't give them the carrot, the perks. So there's a whole system in place where they may feel the need to defend him, but also they still love him somewhere deep inside. And it may be decades before they have the courage and the strength to stand up to their father and condemn them. I have clients who are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, or 60s who still are trying to find the courage to stand up to a parent, oftentimes a dead parent, to call that parent out. I just answered a question 20 minutes ago of someone who says, how do I cut off a mother who allowed me to be molested when I was being babysat as a child by grown men? And that's a grown-ass woman. And you think your children have the courage to stand up to their own father? And it hurts. It hurts as the mother. It hurts as the other parent. It hurts to sit back and watch this, but your children are terrified of losing their father, never getting that love that they always wanted, terrified of his wrath. And right now, they probably know they're disappointing you, but worst of all, they know they're hurting themselves. So your children are in an impossible situation. And your sense of sort of pressure on them, why aren't they standing against him? Why aren't they standing against him? It's like, fuck, man, these kids can't win. They've got so much pressure inside of them. The best thing you can do for them, mom, is get them to a fucking therapist. They have so much hurt and pain inside of them that has to come out. They're too young. They are too young to have the strength to not stand up against your ex. Kids, teenagers, they sound like adults, but they ain't. Hell, I have clients in their 30s, 40s, and 50s who look like perfectly functioning adults, but deep down inside, they're still children who are hurting, who need healing. Your little children, they can't stand up to can't stand up to their father, especially if they were abused. Why? Do you know how they trained circus elephants in the 1800s, people? Do you know? When the baby elephant was born, they would put a shackle on that baby elephant's back leg, attach it to a chain, 6 foot, let's say, and then attach that chain to a 3 foot long stake that they would fucking drive into the ground. And that little baby elephant would tug and tug and tug and tug and tug and tug and tug 1,000 times 1,000 till eventually the baby elephant got the message that chain is God and I ain't never pulling that thing out of the ground. Such that when they had to transport elephants from one town to the next by train, and those elephants become adult elephants, and they attach that shackle to that adult elephant's back leg with a 6 foot chain and maybe a 1 foot stake that an adult elephant could easily pull out. Hell, an adult elephant could easily pull out a 3 foot stake. And they drive that fucking thing in the ground. The adult elephant wouldn't even try. Why? Because it was imprinted as a child. I am weak. Chain is God. Chain strong, me weak. If you abuse a child, if you tease a child, if you imprint in child messages that I, parent, am powerful, you not, it's going to take decades before that child flushes out all the crap that makes them believe they're not strong. And before that child ever has a chance to stand up to that God that had power over them as a child. You think your children can stand up to their father? I do in no way mean to be rude, but that's a joke. That's like that adult elephant trying to pull that thing out of the ground. Maybe it can, but your children aren't even adults yet. And even if they are, They're still imprinted with the belief that he owns me. They are terrified of their father. Well, on that happy note, fine people, we're going to wrap this bad boy up. This is the end of this live taping of the Badass Counseling Show. Thank you to everyone from Perth, Australia, to Belgium, to Bangkok, Hong Kong, and Buenos Aires. It's great to have you here on the Badass Counseling Show. On behalf of my team, KC over in the booth, and Rob the Rocket, have a kick-ass day.
The Badass Counseling Show is strictly copyrighted. No copies may be made without the express written consent of the Badass Counseling Show, LLC. The Badass Counseling Show is produced by Karen Camparelli and Robert H. Friedman. Executive producer Sven Erlandson. Original music by two-time Emmy Award-winning composer Trevor Morris. Have a kick-ass day.